Hi YouTube! In this video I want to show you a very affordable 64-bit dual SIM LTE phone that I got from eFox. This phone is called the Siswoo C50 Longbow. It comes in a plain box like this one with some specs on the back that are not 100% correct. It comes with a 5-volt USB wall charger. Of course, it also comes with a micro USB data and charging cable. Also included is a little quick start guide in English. And last but not least, they also include a second screen protector. One came pre-installed on the phone already. This phone has a 5-inch capacitive 5-point multi-touch screen with a 720 by 1280 HD pixel resolution. It is an IPS display, but I'm not so sure if it's actually a one-glass solution. It has the MT6735 64-bit Quad-Core SOC, which is clocked at 1.3 GHz. It has 1 GB of RAM, 8 GB of internal memory, and it also supports TF cards. Right now it is running on Android 5.0 Lollipop. It is a Quadband, it is totally unlocked, and of course it also supports 3G and LTE. It has a Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, AGPS, it also supports GLONASS and BEIDOU. It has a G sensor, proximity sensor, a light sensor, a magnetic field sensor, and it also has an IR blaster, so you can use it as a remote control. It supports USB on the go and firmware updates over the air. It has hot nod and off-screen gestures. It has 2 cameras, one main camera with an 8 megapixel output, autofocus and LED flash, and it's an f2.2. And one front-facing camera with a 5 megapixel output. It also has an LED flash and it's also an f2.2. This phone is a dual SIM, dual standby phone. It weighs about 148 grams and it's about 8.7 millimeters thick. Let's take a closer look at the phone. We have a front-facing camera right here, proximity and light sensor are hidden somewhere, and we also have a front-facing LED flash. The home, back and menu buttons are capacitive touch buttons and they do not light up. On the bottom we can see it has the USB port and a microphone right here. The frame looks like it's a metal frame, but it's actually all plastic, and on the left side we can find a volume rocker. On top we can see it has a 3.5mm headphone jack and an infrared blaster. On the right side we can only find a power button. On the back we find the main camera and LED flash. The back cover has some sort of matte finish, so it won't attract many fingerprints. And of course we also have a media speaker. And if I can get this open for you, I can show you the inside. On the inside we can see that it takes 2 micro SIM cards. This is your TF card slot, and this is supposed to be a 3000 milliamps battery. I'm really not sure if this is true or not, but please don't worry, the battery life of this phone is very good. Like always, I installed additional apps and games for demonstration purposes. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment sections below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to find out more, please stay tuned. The stock launcher is very fast and very snappy, and the display is also very responsive. The firmware is not the cleanest one I've seen. It came pre-installed with some bloatware. It had stuff like Twitter and Facebook and WhatsApp pre-installed, but luckily you can pretty easily uninstall everything you don't like. Let's start by going into the settings. Let's check out about the phone. Right here we can see that it's running on Android 5.0 Lollipop, and it also supports wireless updates right here. Let me just check for wireless updates, and it's telling me that my system is currently up to date, so I really can't say if this is working or not. Back into the settings, let's check out the languages and input. Let's see which languages are supported on this firmware right now. Let me just scroll through them so you can see if your native language is supported. Back into the settings. Next up we have something called Smart Wake. Now those are the off-screen gestures, so you can double tap to wake the screen, or you can draw different symbols to start different apps. Let's just give it a try, and let me do a double tap and it's waking up the screen. Let me draw a symbol, let me draw a C. That should start the camera app, and that is also working just fine. Back into the settings. Next up, we can check out the battery settings. Right here we can find a standby intelligent power saving mode, which is always nice to have. Let's check out the storage. The good news is the entire memory is available for installing apps and games, even though the 8 GB of internal memory aren't really that much. Next up, let's go into the display settings. Right here we can find that it supports Mirror Vision. This is something you really don't see every day on a MTK phone running Lollipop. So Mirror Vision is always very nice to have. You can adjust the display settings in whatever you like. Next up, let me go into more. Right here we can find cellular networks and we can choose the preferred network type. So you can select for 4G, 3G or 2G. And back into the settings, we can also see that it supports HotNOT. Now HotNOT is similar to NFC, but it only works with other MediaTek phones and it does not support any NFC tags. So I think this HotNOT feature is pretty much useless, but thanks for having it anyway. Let me go into the engineer mode for you to check out the band modes. Let's check out SIM1, and I really have to say, now this phone has a buttload of frequencies supported. As we can see, it is a quad band and nothing unusual here, but check out the 3G frequencies. Now usually you don't find more than 3 or 4 supported frequencies. Now this phone has 5 3G frequencies. And also check out the LTE modes. You can see a lot more than you usually see. It supports band 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Also band 17 and band 20. So this is a really huge plus for this phone. It should work in pretty much every corner of the world. So much about the settings. Let's check out some Google apps. Of course, the Play Store comes pre-installed and it's working just fine. So Google Play Store, no problem at all. Let's check out Google Maps. It's loading, it knows where I live, so the Google location services are working. Let's try a Street View. Let's drop the pin and go into Street View. And Street View is also working just fine. We can do a little zooming and we can also find the compass mode right here. So a gyroscope sensor is not here, but the magnetic field sensor is definitely working on this phone. I don't know how precise it is, but it is working. Let's check out YouTube. Let me just load a random video. It's loading, and let me go into the quality settings, and as we can see, it can play back videos up to 720p. Of course, we can also watch in full screen and it's running very smoothly, so YouTube is working just fine. That should cover pretty much all the Google apps. Let's check out what Antutu has to say. It's initializing. Let me go into my history and we can see it scored at 27,430 points. Now that is not exactly a lot, but it should be able to handle pretty much everything you throw at it. Let's check out some information. We can see that it's running on Android 5.0 and it's a 64-bit system. It has the MT6735 and a Mali T720 and an HD resolution, 8 megapixels front camera. The display, let's check out the multi-touch, and it has a 5-point multi-touch, and when I scroll all the way down we can check out the sensors that are on this phone. But of course we are also going to test these sensors by going into the sensor box. And we have to go back and let's check it out. It has a G sensor, also known as the accelerometer. It has a light sensor and it's working just fine. We have an orientation sensor. We also have a proximity sensor and it's also working just fine. No gyroscope sensor. Of course we have a sound sensor and it's getting readings, so no problem here. We also have a magnetic field sensor and it's also getting readings, but let's check out the magnetic field sensor again with a compass app. It's loading and the compass app is working. I have no idea how accurate this really is, but the magnetic field sensor is definitely working on this phone. Let's check out CPU-Z. Right here we can see that it's running on 4 cores, clocked at a maximum speed of 1.3 GHz. And of course we can also check the sensors again. Here we have them. Those are all the sensors that are supported. So much for CPU-Z. Let me show you the Zapp Remote. Now this is a really fun app and it actually works on my Löwe TV. We can update now, not now. We can go and change the skins. We can have a dark skin or a light skin. And we can also add more remote controls, and it supports all sorts of devices, as you can see right here. Let me just go into the TV remotes, and as you can see it supports a lot of brands and a lot of TVs, and this remote control actually works very great. I even installed it on my Xiaomi Mi 4 because I was always looking for one that supports my old Löwe TV, and now I finally found one. Let's check out the Wi-Fi signal strength, and to give you an idea how good or bad it is, let's compare it to my Xiaomi Mi 4. And I've tested it several times, and as you can see the Wi-Fi reception is very good. It is very close to my Xiaomi Mi 4 Wi-Fi reception, so nothing to complain about here. Let's check out Nina Mark II to give you an idea how good the GPU performs. Now I'm not gonna run the test, I'm just gonna show you the result. It scored at an impressive 67.2 frames per second, which is a very good score. Let's clear some memory and let me do one more benchmark. Let's start Quadron standard benchmark. Let's go OK, and let's run the full benchmark, and let me do a jump cut. Almost done. And the score is 9,299 points. Now that is not a lot. I don't know how that is, but that's the way it is. Let's go and check out the music player to try to give you an idea how good or bad the media speaker sounds like. Let me just play a song and let me turn up the volume. Well, I would say it sounds okay. It's not the best I've heard, but it's definitely also not the worst. Let's go back into the stock launcher. Let's see what else do we have here. Let's go into the gallery. Let me just load some random wallpapers. Let's check them out. We can flick through them very fast, no problem at all. You can also watch in full screen. And the colors and contrast look great, but in my opinion this phone does not have the very best viewing angles I've ever seen, but I'm gonna tell you more about it a little later. We can also check out a sample video. Of course, a 1080p video playback is no problem at all. It runs very smoothly. If I can get it to start. And we do not want to open it in a different app. We always want to open it with the media player. So 1080p video playback is running smoothly, no problem at all. What else can we test? Let's go into the browser. Let me go into my bookmarks. And let me just load the CNN homepage. And it's loading quite fast. Scrolling is very smooth. Zooming is also very smooth. No problem at all. So browsing is a real pleasure on this phone. Let me try to load the desktop side. Let's see if that's working. Actually, it's not working. It's still loaded the mobile website, but hey, trust me on this one, browsing is really a lot of fun on this phone. Next up, let's go and test the camera. Now the camera has all the usual settings that we all know. Now one little special feature might be the picture-in-picture mode. That is very nice to have. It also has a beauty phase and a lens and a panorama functions and all that kind of stuff. But let me go into the normal mode again and let me switch to the front-facing camera. I just want to give you an idea that the LED flash is actually working. Now check it out. Let me take a picture. And I don't know if you saw that, but the LED flash was firing. It is not very bright, but I think it's a fun feature to have. Of course, we can also test the USB on the go. Let me just hook up my USB thumb drive. Let's wait for it. And it's mounting. Let's cancel. Let me go into my file manager, and there we can see that it supports USB on the go. This is my thumb drive. Let me just load a random picture that I have on here. So you can see it's loading and USB on the go is working just fine. Now let me tell you what I'm thinking about this phone. Some thoughts about this phone. The build quality is good, not great. It is all plastic, including the display. The volume rocker is a bit wobbly on my phone. It simply does not feel like a premium device to me, but I guess for this kind of money you really can't expect it. The display is okay. The resolution, colors and contrast are very good. The viewing angles are not the best I've seen, and the display is really hard to read in direct sunlight. The performance is good, but it's far from being a high-end performance. It should be able to handle pretty much everything, unless of course you're really into high-end 3D gaming. The Wi-Fi reception is very good. The GSM 3G and 4G reception and also the call sound quality is good, nothing to complain about. The GPS is fast and the reception strength is very good. It seems to be very stable, but the accuracy can be a little bit jumpy sometimes. The media speaker I would rate as average. I've heard better, but I've also heard a lot worse. The infrared blaster works very nicely. It even works with my old Löwe TV. I was very impressed by it. I wasn't too impressed by the camera picture quality, but of course this is always in the eye of the beholder, so please make sure to check out some sample pictures on my blog. You can find a link in the video's description. The main LED flash is just okay. The front LED flash is very weak. To me this is more or less just a fun feature. Off-screen gestures are always nice to have. Hot Nod is something that is pretty much useless in my opinion, but hey, thanks for having it anyway. The battery performance is very good. I was very impressed by it. I did a Geekbench 3 battery test. If you're interested in the result, you can find it on my blog. I don't like that this phone does not have a notification LED. It only has 1 GB of RAM and that the buttons do not light up. But I guess you can't have it all for this kind of money. Please keep in mind that this is a very cheap phone. It only costs around 118 euros right now. Last but not least, let me try to show you the viewing angles and do a little gaming. Thank you so much for watching and hope to see you again.